Good afternoon. Glad that you've chosen to spend some time studying the Bible with us today. Today we're looking at Mark chapter 11, verses 27 through 33. And they came again to Jerusalem, and as he was walking in the temple, the chief priests and the scribes and the elders came to him. And they said to him, "By what authority are you doing these things? Or who gave you this authority to do them?" Jesus said to them, "I'll ask you one question. Answer me, and I'll tell you by what authority I do these things. Was the baptism of John from heaven or from man? Answer me." And they discussed it with one another, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say, 'Why then did you not believe him?' But shall we say from man?" They were afraid of the people, for they all held that John really was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, "We do not know." And Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." So this is Jesus' second day in the temple. You remember he came into Jerusalem. He went to the temple, cleansed the temple, overturned the tables and all that. Then they went away. They went to Bethany or whatever for the night. Now they're back. So this group comes up to him, the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes. Those are the three groups that make up the Sanhedrin. Now, there's 71 people in the Sanhedrin, so likely not all of them were there, but it's representative of all of the different kinds of power cells that are in the Sanhedrin. And they want to know, like, you're doing these, like you did this thing yesterday, and here you are teaching in the temple. By whose authority are you doing this? See, because they would have said, if you ask people on the street who has authority over the temple, it would be like them, the chief priests, the elders, and the scribes. Well, those are the people that kind of are in charge of the temple. Going back a ways, they might make the case that, well, who originally had authority over the temple? Who planned the temple? Well, King David planned it, and King Solomon built it, and then from Rehoboam on until the Babylonian captivity, every Judean king had authority over the temple. They were the one that kind of made sure things were the way it should be. So it was always the kings. Then went into captivity, and it wasn't all that much longer after that the temple was destroyed. Then they rebuilt it, but then not too much later, Syria came in and they conquered Israel. Then there was an uprising, and Judas Maccabeus, he led a successful revolt against the Syrians, and so he was sort of the king. He wasn't really of the line of David, but he was sort of the king. And then the Romans came, and then Herod. And so they are a little touchy about this, because the true authority of the temple, like them, hasn't been there for a long time. And now Jesus comes in and starts acting like he owns the place. Well, see, that was really the question. Is Jesus who he says he is or not? Is Jesus who the others say he is? Is he who the prophets say he is? Now, he is the coming king. Jesus, in answering their question, doesn't answer their question immediately. He says, well, wait, I'll tell you what. Let me ask you a question, and if you give me the answer, then I'll give you the answer you want. How about John? When he was baptized, where did John get his authority? You might wonder, why does he bring up John? Well, for a couple reasons. That John, as these Jewish leaders say amongst themselves, John was very popular with these people. But more than that, are they going to accept the witness of John? John baptized Jesus. And when John baptized Jesus, and at that same time he'd said, behold, the Lamb that takes away the sin of the world. And he really made a lot of Jesus. And then when he was baptized, there was a voice from heaven, and the Holy Spirit descended on Jesus like a dove. So if you accept John, then you're accepting what John said about Jesus. Well, they couldn't do that. And so they said, yeah, but if we say John is just, some guy, that he's not really a prophet, then we're going to be, we're going to have trouble with all these people because they think he is. And so they gave an answer not born of truth, but born of political expediency. They said, we don't know. And so Jesus just shut them down and said, oh, well, since you're not going to give a real answer, then I'm not going to answer you either. And he just ignored them and he made them look bad. These people showed themselves to be more politician than spiritual leaders when they answered the way they did. Did they truly not know? No, of course they knew. They had an answer. They didn't like the answer they had. And so they were willing to break the 9th commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness. They're in the temple. They are completely bereft. They've lost all spiritual authority. It's all falling away. Jesus was concerned about this, not because he wanted to get one up on these guys, but because he knew what was coming. He knew that just within the lifetime of some of those there, Rome was going to come into Jerusalem with armies and destroy the temple. They were trying to preserve a measure of their own way of doing things. Jesus knew that that was going away, and he was showing them how they could be in God's will forever. And it wasn't through that temple, not the way they thought it. It was through himself, who would be his resurrected body, basically the new temple of God. The temple is where we meet God. Well, now it's Jesus. They rejected him, and so they rejected their only hope. When Jesus is presented to us, we always are left with a decision. We can choose to go toward him, we can choose to accept him, or we can choose to reject him and move away. But we can't just stay on the sideline. We can't just, have a non-committal answer. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day outside today. I hope that you are staying in the Word and that you are walking with the Lord. I will see you again next time. God bless.